come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And I'm joined today by the regular crew, Mahesh, Ashoka and Kartikeya. All of them on Twitter. Kartikeya writes a Substack. I'll link all of that in the show notes. We are going to be talking about the third test that just finished a day ago, finished early, as tests in India usually tend to these days. The third test, which was supposed to be in Dharamshala, for which two of our esteemed panelists were supposed to attend, but shifted to Indore, and so two of our esteemed panelists did not attend. So, yeah, I think that is the story of this test match in a nutshell. So let us capture that immediately. So Mahesh and Ashoka, see, I told you, Ashoka, initially itself, that a defeat may come in Dharamshala. It came in Indore. Just that you weren't there. That's all. So
why? How are you turning this to your credit? I was the one who said it.
But if you said it, you also said that if India loses the third test, you will renounce your life and go join
some Dalai Lama.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you sticking to your promise?
They renounced the venue only before I could renounce life. So what could I do?
Yeah. So anyway, so the match was shifted. Australia have now won a test in this series, which is a very rare achievement for an away team to win a test in India in the first place. So yeah, well done, Australia. It's 2-1 now going into the final test. They won by 9 wickets, which seems like a extremely comprehensive margin when you look at the scorecard, but it was far from that. It was a really close test, and it was like the Delhi test game that could have gone either way with a few strokes of luck here and there. Anyway, usual reminder: our republication venture is 81 All Out Publishing. We have brought out 2 books: War Minus the Shooting by Mike Marquesi and Cricket Beyond the Bazaar by Mike Coward. Both of them have been really well received, and especially during this India-Australia series, Cricket Beyond the Bazaar by Mike Coward has been having quite a few takers. This is like the history of India-Australia cricket that primarily focuses on Australia's tours to India in the 1980s. Mike Coward was there on almost all of those tours, and he documents it wonderfully. The Tide Test, Australia's World Cup win in 1987, Australia's tour to Pakistan in 1988, which was quite fractious. He captures all of that. So please pick it up. So to this test, fine win, as I said. I think a win that was made in Delhi because Australia took quite a surprising move, at least for me, to pick 3 spinners in Delhi. This despite the fact that Cameron Green wasn't yet fit. So which means that Pat Cummins was the only fast bowler there. And then they picked 3 spinners. One of those spinners who they had flown from Australia. He wasn't even in the initial squad. Kuhneman was flown in, but they played him, and they had a good test. I think Australia had a good test in Delhi, apart from that that morning where things just went up in smoke, where they were sweeping everything, as we mentioned in our, not everything, but where they were sweeping a lot, as we mentioned in our previous podcast. So, yeah, I think it was made there. They continued with the combination. In this test, they had the added advantage of having Green come back as a cushion. Not that he got too many wickets, but as a cushion. Stark is always a great addition on these pitches, on any pitches, but especially on these pitches, because he doesn't have to rely on the pitch to get wickets. And yeah, Australia played extremely well, had performances right through the lineup, and rightfully won the game. Now sets up the series very interestingly. We will wait and watch what the pitch is like in Ahmedabad. But before that, thoughts, big picture.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we've always talked about it that to the extent that any team is capable of winning a test in India, it's probably this. And we also clarified that even for this team, it's going to be mighty difficult. So it proved so far, and it needed something. It needed quite a lot of factors to come into play. One one, you need an outlier sort of a pitch, an outlier sort of a test. And this was exactly that, right? And once they got all out for 100 odd in the first innings, they were just too far behind in the test. But I was a bit surprised. In fact, I was thinking that the wicket will perhaps peter out after the first couple of days. I was still thinking that, essentially this Indian team is playing with what, like 1.25 times of a quarter batting lineup extra than normal, and pretty much playing with 5 bowlers capable of picking up 5 wicket hauls and 10 wicket hauls even in these conditions. So that's insane amount of depth. And that is without Bumrah, without Pant, and without all the other things that add to that depth, right? Particularly Pant. So, in fact, I was thinking...
And without Shami in this test.
Without Shami in this test. And Pant is a big factor. In fact, I was thinking that even after they got out for 100 odd, that they would still find a way to come back into this test, especially the second innings if the wicket had sort of flattened out a little bit. So credit to Australia that the fact that they didn't sort of let India come back at all. And to a great extent, Indian bowling was ineffective relatively to the extent that is primarily because they were chasing the curve, right? I mean, they were chasing the tail. And once you get all out for 100 odd, it's very, very difficult to expect bowlers to kind of both attack and maintain their line and length. And Jadeja, had a very rare sort of off test. It was an outlier result, and Australia had the resources to exploit when things sort of, there was a perfect storm that worked in their favor, and Nathan Lyon bowled beautifully. I mean, it's fair to argue that he single-handedly won the test for Australia. He provided both control and penetration. Like for instance, Kuhneman bowled well in the first day, but he couldn't. I mean, naturally, this is his first series. He was not going to have as much control as let's say Lyon has. Murphy had great control, but he was not as penetrative. So Lyon had both, and he rarely erred in length. And even the batsmen had to take such chances. If you remember the way Gill got out, it was not even a shot. It was just desperation written all over it, right? He was not in any kind of shape to play that shot. I mean, and that tells you how much Lyon was exploiting this pitch and how beautifully he was exploiting this pitch. Rohit talked about it at the end of the match about, he had not played against the great spinners of the past, but amongst the ones that he's played against, Lyon is as good as it gets, and especially in India. And I think it's even with all these factors in, it took someone of Lyon's stature and someone of his skills to be able to put it past India. So the way I look at it is that so much had to happen for this Indian team to lose a test at home, and that's what we saw.
Yeah, I mean, after England in 2 years ago, and then Australia in 2017, I mean, these are like rare losses, right? I mean, beating the Indian team at home is an achievement. I mean, you beat them for one test is huge. You beat them for 2 tests, you invariably end up winning the series, which won't happen in this case because Australia have lost the first 2 tests. But even then, yeah. Ashoka, you can go. KL Rahul, anything that you want to talk about?
No. Before KL Rahul and all that, did you just notice what Mahesh was saying? He said Gill attempted a wild shot, lost his shape and all that. But he conveniently did not say one thing. That is, Rohit did the same thing in the first innings. Right? So that has to be noted. Secondly...
But Rohit didn't try that against Lyon, in all fairness.
But he did try. Yeah. He got stumped. Right. So anyway, see, ICC, when we are recording this as of today, ICC has deemed this Indore pitch as a poor pitch. Right. And I agree with them. But not for the reasons that they are saying. Right. I think this pitch was not a raging turner, as in it didn't rage enough. It should have raged even more. Right?
That's true.
Yeah, see, this is how we save Test cricket. This is something that nobody's talking about, and we should make that point in our pod, right? Like baseball has provided half the answer, which is Jai Mata Di, let's rock. Just go after the bowling. BCCI is providing the other half, which is pitches where you can't bat. So if you put 2 and 2 together, you get a test match which will get over in like 3 hours.
Right? Which is a T20 game.
Which is a final form of Test cricket. Every innings is like half an hour, we take some breaks, and then in 3 hours, we finish the match. Now you have a WTC where every match is 3 hours. You have an IPL where every match is 4 hours. Now you have a parity where Test fans and T20 fans can coexist.
No, Test cricket is shorter.
Yeah, of course.
That is when you have people, finally coming up with the debate. Is T20 too long? That is the real argument that we need to get into. Yeah.
See, these stances are straight up in front of us, but instead of doing that, they're penalizing this pitch. That is first of all wrong. But Australians got lucky in this pitch, as you have to get, because you can say that they bowled well and all that, which is true. But it is also true that I think Indian batsmen, at least in the first innings, tried a lot of things and they made mistakes and they paid heavily. I mean, their first mistake or second mistake, they were out. They were gone. So, I think that was the first time even Iyer tried to cut the ball. He cut it straight into the stumps. Now, first time Rohit comes down to pitch, stumped. And Pujara's ball was, first day, first morning. It pitched outside off and then turned and then stayed like close to the surface. How the hell do you play that? So
yeah, and it was quite a bit of cheating also, right? You have a ball like that to Pujara on day one, and then after that, you rarely have such a ball. I was thinking that we'll have at least some 8-9 more such dismissals where balls just shooting down.
Yeah, and so 109, there is nothing much to explain. 197, it's a similar thing, right? Like once you're 109, I thought Jadeja and Ashwin bowled a little too fuller in this pitch. Got hammered. And 197, still, they got the team out for 197, man. So what are we even nitpicking here about? It's 19.7 on average. Anyways, second innings, they made 160. India made 160. I still thought, that is how screwed up this pitch is, that our target was 76. And I was thinking maybe we have a chance. I think maybe if we take 3 quick wickets, we never know. So it was actually a fun pitch. I actually loved watching cricket like this. Once in a while, we have to see batsmen struggle, man. The next 3 months, we are going to see Rahul Tewatia hit 7,000 sixes of Kagiso Rabada. Right? You're going to get your heart's fill of all the batting that you need in the next 2-3 months. For once in a while, let bowlers have fun. Let such pitches be without you penalizing every single thing about Test cricket.
I was going to come to the pitch at some point after the big picture, but yeah, it's interesting how basically the players, whether it's Rohit or whether it's Smith or whether it's whoever it is, they seem to enjoy playing on these pitches. I think for players, generally, if it's not dangerous and if they are not if the ball is not going to, threaten to murder them at some point, I think they enjoy it. And I think for them, when they actually say things like Test cricket is the ultimate test, they look at pitches like this and they look at pitches where every ball becomes hard to survive. And when they do well on these pitches, it's an immense sort of memorable moment for them. They remember it all their lives. It sticks with them. Anyway, we'll come to that. Kartikeya, thoughts and prayers. Do you have any thoughts on the pitch? Do you have any thoughts on Australia's bowling?
Wait. I know he's feeling sad that the rare Australian win has happened without Cummins being there. You don't have to do this. Don't walk out of the podcast. Just talk. It's okay. We'll still credit it to Cummins.
No, Cummins is incidental. Yeah. But the ball is shooting, and who knows? Like Unaman took 5 wickets in 10 overs. Once you're 106 all out, then I think one of the things that happens when you don't have runs to play with is that the Ashwin and Jadeja start sort of chasing wickets rather than trying to exert control and letting the wickets come that way. And I think that's why sort of Jadeja looked especially untidy. I think he probably had his worst day in Test cricket in a long time on the first day of this Test match. Eventually, his luck turned as it should. And Australia's lower order in this series has been generally shaky. So I don't know. I mean, that was pretty much the test match. I mean, 90-run lead in two first innings, which are both below 200, as a huge lead. And I mean, there's basically just not enough runs to play with. No, so then once a few chances the batsmen take, the Australian batsmen take, which come off, then the fielding captain has to start defending runs. So it's a problem, So I mean, it was basically, I don't really think Poonam bowled that well. I mean, it's just that every time the batsman made a mistake against him, he seemed to get a wicket. Those the first 3 or 4, and that happens from time to time. It's happened with Jadeja as well in other Test matches. Yeah, Australia played the right.
You've been saying he's the Dom Bess of this Australian team.
Yeah, I think he is. He does. His control of length is not that great. He sort of drops short very often. He over pitches very often. He drifts down the leg side quite often. But I mean, he's not always going to get batsmen out on their first mistake. No? And any batsman lasts an hour against him, he's going to leak a lot of runs. He's going to have to be taken out of the attack. So I don't. I mean, it's a flu. I mean, Steve O'Keefe did this against India in Pune. No, I mean, he took 6 wickets in that first innings in Pune. And India was same again, bowled out less than 100, 110, something like that. And Steve O'Keefe took 6 wickets, and he beat the bat only about 13 times in that innings. And that's a remarkable sort of conversion rate. It's not something that any bowler will do very often in their career. More the average is like about 1 dismissal every 10 ball shots. So, I mean, it will average out in the end. But I don't know. I mean, one thing I'm curious about is that if the referee from the first 2 tests had been there for this test, would the pitch have been rated poor? I think it should have been, because I mean the bounce was just too uneven, and batsmen just couldn't trust the bounce. And then you can't really bat or bowl when that sort of thing is happening. I mean, too many wickets fall because because the batsman cannot trust with how much the ball is going to bounce. But the thing is that you still need good bowling. No, I mean, Nathan Lyon can still beat the batsman in the air and push the batsman back on the stumps. And then on this kind of pitch where sometimes the ball shoots and sometimes the ball turns more and sometimes it turns less, once you've beaten the batsman in the air, that goes very far. I mean, you see the classic example of this is like Rohit Sharma's dismissal in second innings. He's caught on the crease. He's playing across the line. He's not forward or back. And I mean, that's a chance he's taking. That it will happen from time to time, because he wants to, keep hitting that gap square on the leg side, score runs. So, I mean, he's taking a chance, but you have to take that chance. I think. I don't necessarily think that. I mean, I think you will bring up the question of the batsman inevitably, because every time we do. But I will just suggest gently that if there was one batsman who was doing badly and lots of other batsmen who were doing well, then logically the argument that that batsman is in decline or in bad form is stronger than in the case right now, where the top 4 are consistently not scoring a lot of runs, which suggests that it's something more to do with more than just form or ability. It's to do with conditions. In which case, the case for gunning for whoever is the latest victim is weaker, not stronger.
I want to bring up that sort of elaborate on that point of not Jadeja's bowling and Ashwin's bowling also in the first innings, when not having enough runs and then lacking control with that, because you're in 2 minds about attacking and defending. The thing with that, though, is that the fields are not considerably different these days. I mean, especially India seem to go with this in-out field even when they are like, behind the game. They are not like overly attacking. They are not like putting extra people around the field. And so it's not like there are some suddenly like majorly places to score. So this two minds about attacking and defending is what? Is with to do with the length, is to do with where the bowlers are pitching.
No, it's not. No, it's like it's not really about attacking or defending with the bowler. So it's like about chasing wickets. So they're constantly looking for the magic ball. Jadeja is constantly trying to pitch it on leg stump and trying to hit the top or off stump. And that's not his game. No, that's not what made them. And Ashwin is then experimenting with his flight a lot more than usual, and so on and so forth. It's the difference between sort of being accurate and letting the pitch to get you the wickets, or letting the accuracy get you the wickets, which is what Nathan Lyon does and did so well because he had runs to play with, and actually chasing a wicket 3 or 4 times every over, trying to bowl, try just that a little bit extra, over pitching that little bit extra because you want to tempt the batsman to drive and hope that it turns a lot more and you get the edge, or it keeps low and you hit the batsman on the pad. So you're just trying to get wickets in too many different ways, rather than
but these are great bowlers, man. I mean, come on, be able to?
But they didn't. No, I mean, you see Jadeja's pitch map for the first innings here in Indore and his pitch map for the first innings in the first 2 tests, and it's very different.
But it's natural. What's bowler's greatness to do with it? You're all out for 100. You're under pressure to get the other team, like let's say within 150 or 200. Naturally, the pressure to take wickets is more, and naturally you'll try to bowl more magical balls. It's a bit like as great a batsman as, let's say, Sachin, for instance. If he's chasing like the 2003 World Cup final, right? I mean, he was going for the shot not because he's a lesser batsman. It's because he knows that the asking rate is too high. I mean, the same thing applies for bowlers as well.
No, but that is different. No, that is different. Here, basically...
That was a final. That was pressure.
Yeah, first of all, have you been using the word pressure on this podcast? What is happening? The difference is that here they actually have conditions and pitches going for them. So, as Murli Karthik said quite a few times on commentary, he said the thought in my head would always be on these pitches: don't bowl the magic ball, don't go for the miracle ball. So you're flipping the thing. I mean, Sachin has to try and hit a 4 as often as possible.
No. That is on a blank slate. Okay, there are 2 kinds of pressure. See, Murli Karthik has talked about it quite a lot. In fact, even during the 2004 Mumbai test, he says that I don't like bowling on these wickets because the pressure on you is too much more, right? You got to try and get wickets every now and almost every over. That is one pressure. And Ashwin and Jadeja are, exceptional, and they're not going to yield to that pressure. So that is, let's say, if you start bowling on the first day, let's say if India bowled first, and this wicket offers plenty of assistance, then you expect them to get all out for 100 or less or whatever. That pressure makes you bowl all these wickets, all these magic balls. That's one thing. But if you got all out for 100, the only option for a bowling attack is to try and bowl those magic balls so that you can get them all out for 100. It is it's almost impossible for a bowling attack to think that, okay, this pitch is great. Let's just do our thing, and we can also get them all out for 100, right? Because Kuhneman didn't do that. Ashwin and Jadeja know that Kuhneman had this extraordinary outlier innings, right? So, and they have to offset that. And the only way they can offset it is by hoping for miracle balls, right? And it's absolutely natural. It's got nothing, it doesn't diminish their greatness at all. In fact, it's absolutely natural. In fact, it probably enhances their greatness. I wouldn't say enhances, but it reinforces the fact that they back themselves to do that as well, right?
Is there a record to show that there are certain bowlers who bowl better, even though, who bowl as well, not better, who bowl as well when they don't have enough runs to defend compared to when they have enough runs to defend? Is there
there's only randomness, right? In another innings, it's entirely possible that the same Ashwin and Jadeja would have got them all out for whatever, like 120. And we would have celebrated them as these bowlers who could do that.
But it's not randomness. No, when you have, you surely will have a bowler, even when he's defending 109, a great bowler, I'm saying. You could have a great bowler who says, I'm not going to go for the magic ball.
No,
I will bowl.
So, for instance, if you're talking about 2 bowlers, Murli, for instance, wouldn't have had that privilege Shane Warne would have had that privilege, right? Or the opposite. Murli would have had that too much, and Shane Warne would have had it rarely. And because it happened rarely, and he also has a more penetrative bowling attack, it's tempting to think that Shane Warne could back himself to get them out even if they got out for 100 or so. We don't have enough samples. But with Murli, we have enough samples, and we don't want to venture there, right? I highly doubt it. I mean, maybe KD can look at the numbers, but
I don't think it works
it.
like that. No, I don't think it works like that. I think it's the amount of control a bowler has over how many runs the opposition will score is limited. Now, the bowler doesn't determine the outcome. Again, bowler only shapes it more than the batsman does. So all you can say is that they bowl differently in the first innings here. I mean, and Jadeja is overstepping. He's pitching a lot more outside leg stump than he normally does against the right-hander. He's over-pitching a lot more. He's trying to sort of bowl that ball, which, pitches on leg stump and, goes to first slip a lot more. He's trying to bowl that quicker one, which pushes the batsman back, and then, batsman tries to back cut and it's too close more often. All of those things are happening a lot more often than they normally do. So, I mean, tentatively, the view is that, the bowler is trying too hard for wickets rather than for control. And, the great bowlers invariably get wickets. When they get wickets because of control. That's why they get wickets consistently. Otherwise, you have Kuhnemann, who's going to go for 2 for 110 one test match on a turning track and then 5 for 16 in the next one because, be lucked out. This is what happened with him. So, I mean, look, it's very, very possible that even bowling this way, they could have gotten wickets. It's not, I don't know if they could have done anything different and whether doing anything different, it would have worked. There's a limit to how much you should sort of read into individual dismissals and individual. The patterns are what I think I see in the ball tracking pitch maps. So that's all I wanted to. That's the only.
No, but there are two things here, right? One is the bowlers themselves. I mean, the bowling point of view, which you're mentioning, which is the control versus going for wickets, going for these things. The other is the way the batters are playing, and that is also constantly, changing over the course of not just a series, but even in the course of a test, even in the course of a day. So, the Australians didn't play them the way they did it. They tried to in Delhi. I mean, there were not that many attempts at sweeps. They were playing them differently. They were trusting their defense. So that is also there, I guess. I mean, so it's a two-way.
No. But I'm not buying into that. One, first of all, they got all out for 197. It's not a significant score. And they had the advantage of getting India all out for a very low score. Then you can afford to take more chances. And I mean, second innings is a bit of a shootout. So I wouldn't really read too much into it. In fact, Travis had played the same way in Delhi as well. And people credited him for playing that way the previous evening. And the next morning, all Australians are trying to attack and everybody focused on the sweep. But the thing is, they were also trying to attack. Sweep was the choice. But I'm just saying it could have easily backfired. Even this could have easily backfired. I'm not reading too much into it because it is not so much their response. It is essentially the fact that the first advantage that they had on the first innings was so huge that they could ride on that momentum, both the batting and the subsequent bowling. But okay, the one point I would probably make is that this Indian team is so good that at home, that they could have come back from an outlier sort of first session like the way they had against Kuhnemann. And that door was shut with Lyon in the second innings. And that to me is a more significant contribution because this Indian team could have easily come back and still won the match. The fact that door was shut was because of Lyon's exceptional control and penetration. That he took 8 wickets without offering anything to hit. And pretty much every time a batsman tried to take him on, apart from that Pujara 6 and Pujara frequently walking down the track, every time they thought hitting was the way out, from Gill to Siraj, they got out. I can't remember a single shot apart from that Pujara big hit that went for, that was successful against Lyon coming down the track. And
that cover drive, man. Pujara cover drive.
That was exceptional. Again, but again, that was for Pujara, there was a percentage shot. To me, that was the shot of the match. But I'm just saying that trying to take this aggressive route as a way out against a bowler who's bowling exceptionally on a wicket, which is very helpful for him, simply did not work. The percentage was very, very, very poor, right? And even Pujara did that when the percentages changed. Lyon came over the wicket, the angle was different, and so on. It's not just because Rohit Sharma told him, right? It's because he had sized up the situation. Maybe he may not have gone for a 6 otherwise, but he would have certainly hit it for a 4. Even Shreyas Iyer, right? Like that Rohit mentioned. Shreyas Iyer played beautifully. There's no doubt about it. But he pounced on every time Koeman pitched shot. Right? It's not like he attacked Lyon and he was successful. So to me, the Lions 8-wicket haul was what really sealed the match. India had enough resources to come back from an outlier session like Koeman's 5-wicket haul.
Lyon and Todd Murphy, man. See, Koeman first innings, I'm sure he had a 5-wicket haul, and kudos to him. But second innings, he actually was losing the plot, especially during that Shreyas Iyer innings. So he was losing the plot. The person who actually gave support to Lyon and kept the control on is Todd Murphy. He didn't get much wickets in this test, but he bowled like 14 overs for 18 runs something. I think that's what he bowled. He didn't concede a boundary till like 8th or 7th over. That's like amazing control. He did not give an easy over away. And considering that this is his second test or third test, right? Karthikeya was mentioning this during the match. This match was very similar to the Bangalore test of 2016-17, where India gave a lead, but in the third innings, like we fought back, right? So,
but Nathan Lyon had 8 wickets in the first innings in that match. Here he had 8 wickets in the second innings.
Yeah. So Lyon was absolutely brilliant. I think this is his best spell that I have watched, and considering that he has bowled a lot against India, I think I have watched a lot of him. But this is one of his best spells, dude. The one funny thing was when Shreyas Iyer was hammering Koeman, I was thinking, what is this Steve Smith guy doing? They should have bought Stark on the moment Shreyas Iyer came in. I don't know. I don't care if this pitch is turning or what. If Shreyas Iyer comes in, you must have a pacer. The worst possible delivery from a pacer got Shreyas Iyer out. Not a short ball, but some laddu on the leg stump that this guy casually flicks, and Khawaja takes
It was a great catch. Yeah.
Great catch. Yeah. So, but let's say if that ball had gone this side, that side, and a little bit, and Iyer batted for another 30-40 minutes, we would have had 140-150 a lead. And that would have been very interesting. That chase would have been very interesting. 76, yeah. I mean, it's just a testament to this Indian attack that I thought that even with 76 they had a full scope. But 150 would have been a good chase. I mean, it's exactly reverse of Australia, no? So in Delhi, you thought Australia, if they had made like a 150, 160 lead, India would have probably struggled. It's the reverse here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like just like Bangalore. We are also thinking about Mumbai 2004, right? I mean, it was the similar kind of situation, and then India had a good partnership in the third innings, and then Australia couldn't chase. Got bowled out for 90 odd in the final innings. So that was that, and also, yeah, I mean, in the third innings, both Shreyas and Pujara got out to amazing catches. I mean, both the Khawaja catch and the Steve Smith catch was even better at leg slip. I mean, that was something else, just stuck. And then, yeah, I mean, both of them go an inch this way or that. And you never know what you're looking at in terms of the lead. So, yeah, I mean, it was a very close game. But wait, I want to get back to the point about the Australian batting. So you're saying they were not you're saying that they were not more attacking in Delhi than they were in Indore?
No, I think they played the same way. I mean, they're good players. Yeah, they're not stupid.
No. In terms of the percentage of attacking shots that they were going for.
Well, I mean, if the field is spread and they're getting a different type of bowling, when the bowler is trying to attack a lot more, then yeah, your opportunities are different, no? And they survive on this. You have to sort of try and survive, ball by ball. And if you keep surviving, you keep making runs when you can. No? And these are
Yes,
good
so
players.
they played so that's what I'm saying. So would you agree they played the percentages better?
No, I don't think they played the percentages better. I think they played the percentages differently, and it happened to work for them. I mean, we've seen it. No, I mean, 2001 when Australia came to India, Adam Gilchrist tried the lowest percentage shot possible against Harbhajan Singh. India had a deep mid wicket, and Harbhajan Singh was bowling into the rough, and Gilchrist kept slog sweeping him out of the rough against the spin, and he kept connecting, and he made a century. So that was low percentage, but it worked for him. So
In
I don't
Mumbai, yeah.
So it was just see. I don't particularly care. People say some things are low percentage and some things are high percentage. Come on, it's not. It's not like that. No, that presumes that these batsmen are stupid and they would actually try something suicidal. They're not going to do that. They're very, very good players. I think
they did try something which ended up being suicidal.
Yeah, but
they didn't try to be suicidal.
Yeah. So I mean, India knew that India knew that the wicket was misbehaving in the first morning, and they still tried to play forcing shots at the back foot. Even on a wicket with indifferent bounce. That's what they're taking a chance. No, I mean even in defense, Virat Kohli plays a forward defense where he never ever lets the bat proceed beyond the pad. Whereas Peter Handscomb, he always plays the forward defense with the bat in front of the pad. Now, Kohli doesn't want to risk the inside edge, because of the short leg. But Handscomb is, and in the process, Kohli is prepared to expose his pad. Whereas Handscomb is taking the other bet. No, he's playing forward defense with the bat in front of the pad. He's willing to risk the inside edge, but he backs himself that, okay, most of the time I'll middle it and I'll keep the ball out. And actually, against the slow left-arm orthodox, is probably a better idea. But against the off-spinner, it's a risky idea. But he did it, and Ashwin got bat pad. It was a fairly obvious thing for someone as good as Ashwin. He slowed it down and he got it to turn. He flighted it and he got it to turn a lot more. And he got a good length ball on the stumps, and Handscomb was pushing, and he got the bat pad catch. So that's a trade-off. No, that's the chance that Handscomb is taking, and Kohli is taking the other chance. And really, I know people hate it when this is pointed out, but really, the test matches are decided based on how long a batsman survives and how long these trade-offs keep working for a batsman. And some matches, they work better for one team, and other matches, they work better for another team. And in the long run, if they keep working better for one team, then that team is better.
Now, the trade-off point is very important, right? Like the whole idea that somehow a professional test team, especially some of these top test teams, have a brain feed, and that too collectively, is just simply far-fetched. It is very easy for us to say, like, for instance, even Pujara, take the case of Pujara 6, right? It makes for a cute viewing that Rohit Sharma says something and somebody comes and delivers a message, and Pujara goes out and hits a 6. And look what happened. The next over, he got out, right? He got out. Now, I don't know, like, was it just a natural dismissal or was it because he was trying to force a pace? It's not easy to force a pace. It is when you're saying that, when you see conditions like that, we should play more aggressively, it comes with disproportionately higher chances. Sometimes it works. Like Travis Head, for instance, is being celebrated right now. He took a lot of chances in the previous test, and he took a lot of chances in this test as well. Of course, when you're like chasing 76, the pressure on the bowler to take your wickets is higher, and they're going to keep sort of trying to attack so you can get away with it. But I'm not sure. Like Khawaja, for instance, has a very good counter-attack against spinners. There is a certain method that works for him. I am not sure that I've seen that of Travis Head yet. So far, we've gone by results, right? Because one evening in Delhi, he played well. And this match, he finished it off. In fact, people are going retrospectively and saying, had he played the first test, the result would have been different and so on. I'm just saying, sometimes these trade-offs work, sometimes these don't. But in the long run, what works is trade-offs that suit your game. Like for Shreyas Iyer, for instance, he did that against Lyon earlier as well, right? He hit 1 6 and got out. But he's capable of hitting those sixes. When he comes out, he's always in shape. And that's the way he's played all his life. The way he attacks spinners is a bit like Sidhu. He believes they have no right to bowl, And that percentage works for him, but it's not going to work for Pujara. And, we should not be too enamored by the fact that when trade-offs work, it's sort of magical and it doesn't work, it's a brain fade. That digital view is very, very problematic.
No, that's fine, but there's also a question of trade-offs in terms of the technique, no, in terms of the way you play. Because in Nagpur, I mean, many of the Indian commentators who were watching were pointing out how Australia are trying to play for the turn, and how in India that is like on these kind of pitches, it is the the thing that you don't do. So you give yourself, you say it's okay to be beaten off the outside edge, but then you play as if the ball is.
Steve Smith. No, I don't think other Australians play that way. Only Steve Smith is playing that way. But I don't know if it's a conscious choice or is it just his instincts are kind of taking him there. Maybe, this is what we call bad form. I don't know. But let's say, okay, let's take the other example. Labuschagne, for instance, playing off the pitch and trying to play a lot more off the back foot. To me, it's a conscious choice, right? It worked for David Martin.
I think
it's not worked for him so far.
Labuschagne's got a couple of shooters. I mean, it's a little bit of bad luck for him.
No, but even
and he got one more in this test where it was a no ball.
Yeah, but he's not really going back to full balls. I mean, I looked at the length of those balls. They're all 19-20 feet length. So they're not.
But in India,
they're not balls where he should be playing forward. I mean,
but he does play back to a lot of balls that he could have played forward. And to me, that's a conscious choice.
Yeah, but that's okay. He's a short guy. He's not 6 feet tall, so it's okay. But I look. This is the whole. It's not really a question of playing for the turn. No, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a question of picking the length early also. Because see, if the batsman picks the length early, then the batsman is going either forward or back and not chasing the ball. Then the batsman has kept his shape and batsman is defending the stumps properly. This is what they say against seam movement also, no? That you don't chase the seam movement, but you defend your stumps. Defend the line of the stumps. You should be prepared to give away and don't push out at the ball. Keep the bat very close to the body. And so you play that line because that's the line which can sort of threaten your stumps. Any other line, it's you get beaten and you survive. That's the plan against seam movement. No? Against against the slow left arm orthodox, the right hander has to do the same thing. You have to defend your stumps, and then if something turns like rips past your outside edge, fine. I mean, if it catches your outside edge and gets you out, like it happened for Khawaja in the second innings, that's also fine. It happens. You say fine, but you at least you're playing the odds pretty much as well as you can, having read the length. But the thing with these bowlers now, Ashwin, Jadeja, Lyon, and even I'd say Murphy to some extent, is that they are good enough to beat you in the air quite often. So there's always going to be balls every now and then where you're caught in the crease. And on these pitches, it's really, really hard to survive those. Because it's really, really hard to make that late adjustment. You need a lot of luck to make that late adjustment after the ball is pitched. Reading the ball off the pitch. And Labuschagne's got a few rough ones. He's also had a little bit of luck. I think this time he was out of a no ball once. But yeah, I mean, this is why it's an asymmetric game, no? This is why the bowler can decide what options you have as a batsman. And this is why the whole Indian bowling in the first innings was interesting, because I think the Indian bowlers gave Australia a lot more options than they normally would if they were bowling first, for instance, or if they were bowling with 250 runs to play with rather than 110. So yeah, I think one of the more interesting things in this series has been that Akshar Patel is not bowling as much. He's bowling well. His lines and lengths are good. You look at his pitch maps and all, they're all excellent. He's also bowling quicker than any other spinner. Like, he's even bowling quicker than Murphy. But he's got 1 wicket in the series so far. So, I mean...
And has he even bowled 50 overs? I don't know.
I don't think so. No, he has bowled 39 overs.
Yeah.
In like 5 attempts, I think.
Yeah.
5 or 6 attempts.
Yeah, he's playing as a batter, basically.
Yeah, but Akshar is playing beautifully. Even the way he played Cummins in the previous test was so good. And, the 6 that he hit off Lyon, he was not even to the pitch of the ball. And he didn't even know where it went, and it still went. My God, what a beautiful connection that was. In fact, okay, when I saw the Indians play the second innings, I was actually largely impressed with the way they played spin. In the sense, I mean, you look at a match like this, and the typical outrage would be like, oh my God, these guys can't play spin. On the contrary, I came out thinking, my God, these guys are so good. I mean, you just have to find a way to get Mayank in, and this would be like a Hall of Fame sort of list of people who can play spin, right? Who would I replace? Perhaps take Kohli out and put Mayank in. And
No, I'll say drop a seamer and bring in Mayank.
That would be, I mean, the way Shreyas played, he was like so alive to the first, like remotely shot ball, and he could hit it out of the ground on the first attempt. Right? Like that cameo was like every loose ball he punished. Right? And Pujara played with so much control. And Sibi and I chatted this on Twitter when this was happening. And he was using his bat so much more as compared to the previous innings, previous few innings actually. And he could still be under so much control. He middled so many balls. And he was in immense control.
He didn't get the shooter.
Yeah, the feature of that Pujara innings for me was how much he didn't use that, bat. He comes down the track and then he, sometimes he just kicks the ball away when he's outside the line.
Yeah, he can't do that against Lyon now, no? Because unlike 2017, in 2023, Lyon has started pulling around the wicket. Now everything is within the stumps. You can't really step out and kick it away now. You'll be out LBW. That's what's made Lyon so much more potent in this series.
Yeah, but he can do it against some other bull. I mean, he didn't even do it against any of the others. He didn't do it against Kunaman. He didn't do it against Murphy.
Yeah, but he was picking the length well, I thought. And he didn't get any shooters or anything which turned ridiculously and beat him, And first innings, Pujara's problem was that he was caught on the crease, no? I mean, it turned a lot, but, Pujara didn't really go back or come forward. So.
And also some of the attacking shots that he was playing in the second innings, I mean, I can't imagine any other batter in this test match even able to conceive of some of the shots.
The cover drive that he played of Nathan Lyon bowling from round the wicket, my God, it was a sight for the gods. It was one of the greatest shots I've seen in my life. So beautiful to watch.
It was like it almost like he scooped a bit of it, right? Though, I mean, it continued to be on the ground, but there was a bit of a nice little lift.
But to have that sort of synchronization to come out for a bowler who's bowling from round the wicket and he's pushing it wide, and to still back yourself to get there and play an attacking shot, and for all of that to come together so well, my goodness. And I don't understand, like, who could have, I can't imagine a past player, and there are plenty of great players of spin that we've seen, who could have probably played it as well. So the more, almost right through the second innings, I was so impressed with the way these guys were playing spin.
Pujara and Shreyas that partnership was basically like, for me, it's like India's two best players of spin at this point of time. And, had both of them got out to like stunning catches, but the way they were playing, it could have easily been they could have added 60, 70 more, and then who knows what could have happened in the test. You see Pujara closely, and it's almost like first of all, which batsman would even endeavor such an attempt? That is the thought that comes to you. I mean, it's almost the equivalent of what Lakshman was doing, against the turn, inside out, that kind of shots, right? I mean, again, that's not a shot that a normal batsman would endeavor against a great bowler like Vaughan, but he did on a pitch where it was wearing. So anyway, Pujara was a fantastic innings. Thoroughly enjoyed him playing and used a lot of the bat. I mean, that used to be said of Gavaskar in his pomp against spin, that he used to primarily use the bat. And this was the era well before DRS, where pad play was quite common, especially in the Indian context. Many Indian batsmen used to use their pads. But Gavaskar used to stand out apparently because of how he used to predominantly use the bat. So yeah, I mean, it was very nice to see a player on this pitch play like that, which brings me to the pitch. I think we should talk a bit about that. We have spoken about poor rating, this, that, but I want to focus on that point that Rohit said, and which the Indian team management seem to genuinely believe quite bafflingly, that this is the pitch that this is the kind of pitch that they want to help them. First of all, aren't they negating like so much of strength that they have by playing on these pitches? I mean, why play on these pitches when you can actually have a pitch where that helps your entire lineup? Here, you're basically, it's like you're reducing your team to like 3 players, man. That's it.
I mean, I know for a fact that Rahul Dravid was very, very unhappy. She's basically saying that, you can't really play a test match on a pitch like this. I mean, they don't like the uneven bounce. And they don't mind the turn. They don't mind the seam. They don't mind the speed. They don't mind any of those things. They don't mind a pitch which wears eventually. That's all fine. That's all fair. But when it's so up and down, it's a lottery. They don't really like it. I am not surprised that it's been classed as poor. I mean, to some extent it's Chris Broad, but to some extent he's also right. It is a very uneven pitch. I mean, and it's one thing if it happens on the third or fourth day. It shouldn't happen in the first session. I mean, they're not happy with the pitch. They're never going to say it publicly. They're never ever good. And they're never going to complain about the pitch, especially after they've lost. They never even complain about a pitch when they lose overseas. So, that's one of the things where, the things that players and managers say in press conferences is basically useless as a insight into what they're thinking or anything like that. They're never ever going to say that. They're under so many strictures. Firstly, they're speaking as representatives of the board. Secondly, they're speaking under ICC regulations. Thirdly, they have their PR advice.
No, that is all fine. But the fact is that the 3 pitches that have been prepared for this series, I think that India needn't have even gone this far. They could have won test matches. They could have been 2-1 up, even with like a totally different kind of pitches.
Yeah, but that's not the point. No, I mean, it's. I don't necessarily think that they are preparing, these types of turners. I mean, the pitches turn. I mean, I think the first test pitch and India did make 400 in the first test match. So it's not like the pitches have been uniformly bad. I mean, I think this third test pitch was sort of unusually bad. I really don't know. I wonder how much it has to do with the fact that they moved the test match to Indore, and how much it affects like pitch preparation and stuff. Because I presume that during the season, there's a calendar which the pitch preparation people use, like they know weeks in advance what type of match they're playing in what week. So whether they're playing a T20 or whether they're playing a ODI, or whether they're playing a Ranji Trophy or test match or whatever. And when you disrupt that, then what happens? No, I don't really know. You're never ever going to get a curator to tell you the honest truth in the press. They're not even telling the players the honest truth. In fact, now you have a story at the beginning of this series of an Indian curator telling the press that he lied to Shane Warne about how the pitch was going to behave in the 98 series. So how can you rely on anything they tell you in the press conference and the press interviews? None of it is reliable. All of it is messaging.
See, it's entirely possible that they may have wanted this kind of pitch for this series because of the stakes involved, right? Against Australia, World Test Championship final at stake and whatever. So I'm not going to completely dismiss that point. But a lot of the perception about recent Indian pitches is driven by what happened against the England series, right? One was a pink ball test. And first of all, it was during COVID. And they were playing in a test match in Chennai after a long, long time, where they had a new curator. And the first test was a road, right? The pitch was a road. And every time we get a road, people panic, or test cricket is dying and whatever, right? Like, this is a graveyard for fast bowlers. There should be a contest for everyone. Then the next pitch, the same ground was used for the second test. And that turned out to be a square turner, because in a short period of time, if you want to turn the nature of the pitch, it will get dramatic, which is what happened. And
not square turner, beach,
whatever. And in Ahmedabad, when they played with the pink ball, of course, in India,
sand pit. What beach? Sand
pit, whatever. And in Ahmedabad, they played with the pink ball, and that was quite a dramatic test. And pink ball, we've still not cracked it. Right? We still do not know how pink ball works in India. And unlike Australia, where they first played first-class games and then they institutionalized playing pink ball tests and so on. Both pink ball tests that we had, the one against Bangladesh, which was quite dramatic because of the fast bowlers, and the one against India, which was quite dramatic because of the spinners, were a bit of an outlier. So before
England, the 81 all-out match. Yeah.
The England, yeah. But if you go before that, like the series against South Africa, I was just checking. Ashwin did not even take wickets. The wickets were shared between, Shami and Jadeja and other fast bowlers in one of the innings. I'm just saying, it's not like we've been having these kind of tracks for a long, long time. I think we are deeply influenced by what happened against England and the dramatic nature of the shift from the first Chennai test pitch to the second test Chennai pitch and the pink ball test. And I don't see. In fact, Delhi was not even a specifically, uncharacteristic of Delhi pitch. I don't see a big deal, to be honest. And what do you expect the captain to come and say? We are not happy with these pitches.
Forget everything. Forget all of this. All I'm saying is that Chennai, the Chennai second test against England, that is totally fine. Okay, I think that is this thing. That is a fine pitch. That is not a problem. I don't think that's a poor pitch at all. But, the moment you start getting... by the way, there were two tests in Ahmedabad, right? It was not just the pink ball test. There was a test after that also. The red ball test.
Yeah.
So, but even despite the stakes, I just feel that the Indian team underestimates their own strengths when they play. I mean, why not prepare like that South Africa series, right? That where Jadeja and Shami basically blew them away.
No, we don't know what is this reference, right? When Rohit is saying this is the kind of pitch that we want. Is it against, let's say, the Kanpur pitch that we had against New Zealand? Is it against the first Chennai pitch against England? We don't know what he's referencing.
But I know what he's referencing. He's talking in a press conference. He's not telling you what the team wants. He's telling you what people want to hear, which keeps the team's reputation intact and doesn't ruffle feathers.
You may have an idea about what Rahul Dravid thinks about it, but that doesn't mean that everybody in the team management feels furious about it. No, there may be people who think this is the way to go, or in fact, we should even go one step further. And
but that makes it all very capricious. No, I mean this is like pretending that these people know nothing about what they're doing. No, I mean these people know what a good pitch is. I mean, and this is not just, but they're not. But this is not also arbitrary. No, what a good pitch is and what a bad pitch is not some subjective thing. It's a well-defined thing. If a pitch has a lot of vertical variation in bounce, it's a bad pitch. If a pitch offers a lot of lateral variation, like in terms of spin or seam, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's never going to be rated worse than good or average. That's a straightforward thing. And it's an unambiguous thing. It's a clear thing. So if you have a pitch where you have a lot of uneven bounce, it's a bad pitch. It's that simple. This is not some mystery. This is not some gray area either. The other thing is, it's not even clear that the pitch was the way it was because by design. Pitches are often get away from people. So it's not like, this was a pitch that went wrong. And you can measure this, no? I mean, you can look at for a given length, what is the variation and width in the beehive of the height of the ball. And in the Indore pitch, the variation was double what it was in Delhi and Nagpur. And the other thing is that, you see, what the uneven bounce does is that it sort of magnifies the effect of the ball, because when the ball is new, the bounce varies a lot more because the ball is hard. Whereas when the ball gets older, then it gets soft and it comes off the pitch slower, and it also sort of varies. The bounce generally gets lower, so the variation also drops. So, I mean, people say that, surviving the new ball is good for the batting side. Here, it's really good for the batting side. I mean, you look at Australia's batting, and you look at from overs, until Steve Smith got out in their first innings, they look pretty much untroubled.
you were posting stuff about the pitch ratings, right? So is this consistent throughout? Like this verticality
Of
is
course.
is poor. Like ICC across all conditions, they are.
Brisbane was classed as South Africa, Australia, Brisbane pitch was classed as below average. Actually, even the Rawalpindi pitch, which was really, really flat, offered nothing to anybody. That was also classed as below average. The one thing that they have, which is interesting, is that you see, if there's uneven bounce and there's a lot of fast bowling, then there's a chance that the pitch can be dangerous, right? Then it becomes easier for them to sort of make the case that the pitch is bad. The thing with spin is that it's never dangerous. So under the law, they can never sort of rule it unfit. The worst they can say is that the pitch is poor. So far they've never said any pitch is unfit. I mean, I think the closest pitch that came to being unfit since they started the system was the 2018 Wanderers pitch, which India played on, where they had to stop the match because the Elga kept getting hit. So
no, but even on this kind of a pitch, had Umesh or Siraj bowled more, who knows? It could have been dangerous. No?
Yeah, but it's not kicking. No, it's generally shooting, and it's not that quick also.
Yeah. Okay. I'll post that link that you had. It was interesting. You've done like a collective summary, right, of all the pitches and their ratings and all that.
No, the ICC posts that. I just copied it out of it.
Yeah. I'll post that link. That's what. Anyway, why is Jadeja bowling so many no balls? I mean, that siren, man. I cannot get over that siren that comes whenever there's a no ball over there. I'm like, oh God, yet again. They were. I mean, okay, it's not. There's no explanation for this, but yeah, it was just frustrating. Hopefully, he gets over it.
He's coming back though. He's not even regularly bowling though. He had that Ranji match and then straight into the Test series.
Yeah. So, also, the thing is that he uses the crease, really well on most occasions. Whether it's the sideways aspect of the crease or the front and back. So it's also probably his experiments going wrong, and that hopefully that is corrected. Paras Mamre, I'm sure, is furiously working with him on it behind the scenes. As there's Sairaj Bautule also, who's there in the team. So I mean, I think we should focus a little bit on Lyon. I mean, eventually, as we discussed, that was the spell that really put Australia in pole position in this match. Over the course of his visits to India, I mean, it's quite fascinating to watch him bowl, and especially the duels that he has had with Pujara. Karthik Krishnaswamy of Cricket Info has written a fine piece on that, their duels over the years. And also a very sort of interesting rivalry, right? We are talking about rivalries in the preview of this thing. And Pujara Lyon, I think, is perhaps the standout over the last few years in this India-Australia thing. Ashwin Smith, we spoke about, but Pujara Lyon comes up too. Talk about it. And this round the wicket, like getting quite unplayable, man, with that angle that he's coming up with.
I mean, he's got, like, as far as spinners go, I think he bowls in a way which most Indians, even if you go back in history, would find it hard to play against, because he's just so difficult to hit against, right? And a lot of the Indians' idea of playing spin is one, great defense, but more importantly, that sort of release shots, right? They needed that release shots every now and then. And as great as other bowlers who come here, the amount of overspin that he gets, it makes it so dangerous for you to go down the track and hit him over the, over the infield. And, somebody posted, I mean, we were just trolling around on Twitter, and somebody posted, like, as a response saying, oh, this is Sachin's record against Lyon, and, whatever, even his record is not great, which is not a surprise at all, right? Like, even when he's bowling in Australia, like, I mean, he got Rohit in quite a bit of trouble in Australia as well. Of course, you can argue that Rohit was not batting great at that time, but and especially when he's trying to go and attack him over the top. So that's one thing, right? Like, Lyon is just an exceptional bowler in general, but particularly against India, you can't pick a more effective style of spin as Lions is. And also, we got to consider the fact that Australia, I mean, Lyon for Australia is a bit like Kapil Dev in India, right? When he came up. Like, the country is not known for fast bowling. It is not meant to produce fast bowlers. The whole ecosystem operates in a way where Kapil Dev should not have come, right? And Nathan Lyon is a similar sort of bowler in Australia. The whole country is designed for his kind of bowling to not thrive. For him to overcome that kind of odds and thrive in general, like in coming from Australia itself, is a big thing. But it's no surprise that he's gotten better as with experience everywhere, and he's really cracked bowling in India in a way that I can't imagine any other visiting spinner. I mean, Sakline, for instance, was a reasonably small sample. To have this track record of success and keep getting better and adding something each time he comes back. The round the wicket angle, for instance, has made him a lot more effective. And it's not just that. I think it's just stock ball, right? The consistency with which he bowls a stock ball, the amount of overspin he gets, and the fact that he rarely misses his length, makes it almost impossible. It's easy, right? It's a bit like McGrath, right? Like people used to say, just hit him out of his length. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do. How are you going to hit him out of his length? And the odds are so low. What amazes me is that every time a batsman steps out of the crease, the odds are so low. And that applies both to the top order and the lower order.
This generation or this batch of Australians and Indians have played each other so much, dude. Like Pujara has played Australia 42 times. He's played 100 tests. It's 40% against one opposition. It's like the Australia-England of 1800. Like they play each other always. Like, what the hell, man? Play other people too, no?
And then the Pujara line is particularly interesting because unlike other things like Smith and Ashwin, for instance, I mean, Smith dominated Ashwin early on. Then now Ashwin is dominating. But in this, you are guaranteed a contest pretty much every time they come up against each other. Even if it's going to be a 1 hour play, the sort of cat and mouse game is so exciting to watch. It's perhaps the most arresting rivalry of let's say like one-on-one rivalry of this era. It's been so beautiful. I mean, Lyon has got him out quite a few times, but Pujara has scored against him. More importantly, he's survived so many balls against him, and he's kicked out so many balls against him in an era of DRS. And I don't think, I must say this, I don't think anybody else uses DRS in such sort of close marginal calls as effectively as Lyon does. He understands his bowling so well that he can go for outrageous reviews. On like first sight it looks outrageous, but he gets so many of them right. So I don't think there's been a more DRS-aware spinner than Lyon.
Hey, meanwhile, Dhoni has scored 157 runs, I think, against Lyon.
Yeah, without getting
has
out,
not
right?
been, Thala for a reason.
Yeah. Of course. Thala for a reason. Yeah. No, and also I feel like in the Pujara Lyon, right? If you compare to Steve Smith Ashwin, I feel Pujara Lyon is like they're almost like there is a certain process in which they are functioning. Like Lyon bowls in a certain way, and then he knows Pujara will do this. Pujara plays in a certain way. It's like they're writing a bit of a semi-story for that, and then finally, which both of them are enjoying. I mean, Ashwin and Steve Smith is more can be start-stop. It's like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. But here there's a nice, like a sort of a flow that is going on. Of course, a lot of this is in my head. But that is how I watch the way they play against each other.
I don't know. I'm going to say what I usually say about great bowlers, which is that it's really, really hard to do what they do because they do very simple things really well, very, 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 very often. And, I mean, Lyon spins the ball really hard without losing control of length. That's really hard to do, and he does it. It's what Ashwin does also. Most bowlers, if they want to put the ball on a length, they will not turn the ball as hard because then it's easier for them to control the flight and make sure they hit that length. That's also not as effective. Someone like Kuhnemann, for instance, he tries to spin the ball hard and he loses his length once or twice an over. Tom Best did that same thing. He tried to spin the ball really hard and he kept losing his length. The difference between that and a great bowler is that control. No? I mean, Lyon can bowl on a dime and turn the ball hard all the time. But what he's done, apart from coming around the wicket to the right-hander in this series, is that he's bowled quicker. I mean, he's about 4 kilometers per hour quicker on average speed in this series compared to 2017 so far. So, he's also harder to run down now because he's quicker. He's able to be quicker without sort of losing his shape and his control. And that's a remarkable physical feat more than anything else. He's a great bowler.
Wait. You're saying if you do simple things very often, you become a great person, is it?
Yeah.
Great professional.
But simple things are very hard to do, no?
What? I wake up daily, I have a breakfast, then these are very lunch and then dinner.
Those are
I
not
go
simple.
back to sleep.
But those are not simple things. No, those are easy things. There's a difference.
I am not going to accept any of this. Lyon is a great bowler because he does the most difficult things, man.
I'm happy to buy into the easy, simple thing. But he himself, when he was explaining, was saying that not only do they get their line and length accurate all the time, they're also able to do it with extraordinary amount of spin imparted on the ball. And typically a normal bowler, when he wants to be accurate, is going to forgo some of the spin. So that's not simple. He himself is making a case.
No. It is simple. No, it's simple to describe. It's simple that it's simple to be a manager and to tell a spinner. If you were to describe, what makes a great spinner, it's very simple to describe. You have to have great control and you must turn the ball really hard. Which means that you must spin the ball hard and you must be able to land it exactly where you want to every single time. That's very simple to explain. I explained the whole thing that a spinner needs to learn in like 2 sentences. That's what simple is. But to actually do it is really hard. That's why cricket is like labor. No, it's not management. It's really hard to do that. And the same thing for batting. No, Pujara is going to make a mistake reading the length once in a while. And if he has an average lucky day, he won't get out the first time he makes that mistake. But some days he will. And then some days he'll have a really good day and he won't miss the length at all. He'll read the length perfectly every single time for 4 hours. And then he'll make 60 in 140 balls on a square turn. So, or on other days he may not. Like it happened with him in Chennai in 2021. He'll get a long up and he'll hit it into forward short legs, gut, and the ball will bounce up and someone will take a catch. That also happens. But it's simple in the sense that it's really, really simple to describe what needs to be done, no? What someone else is supposed to do. But to actually do it is fucking impossible.
Because of pressure, man. Because of pressure.
There are only like 3 people in the world who can do it well.
Anyway, so at least, from my personal experience, I've been watching cricket from like late 80s, early 90s. And Lyon definitely seems to be spin-wise over a period of time. I think for me, as an opinion, is the best spinner to have.
The best I've seen, easily. The best visiting spinner I've seen in my life.
Yeah. Sucklen in 99 will probably be unmatched in terms of a single series, but Lyon has been absolutely stunning through the course of time. Which brings me actually towards the end of the podcast.
You're ending the podcast without talking about the second best, or soon to be the second best pacer in Indian condition. Umesh Yadav.
Oh, yeah. Umesh, sadly, we haven't touched upon Umesh.
No, that was the case Sidhu was making, right? Why is Rohit Sharma saying we need these kind of wickets? When is Umesh going to get another 100 wickets? That was his agenda.
Listen, you have Umesh, you have Shami, you have, when he's fit, you have Bumrah, you have Siraj. Okay, I don't think we've ever had this much riches. I don't think we will ever have this many riches.
Forgot Lord.
After Lord in India, I don't know. Lord is more for overseas specialists.
Hey, okay, Lord is for Bajic, man. Lord is not like a real bowler.
No, just to troll. No. I think we should do one series where we don't play the spinners at all. Just these 4 bowlers and Lord.
No, we really, we sort of completely negate. See, I would say actually Nagpur and Delhi, for all the talk about the pitches, Shami ended up getting wickets. Siraj ended up bowling well. Even though he didn't have major returns, I mean, his spell to David Warner on that in Delhi was very good. and his Nagpur also, he had a good opening spell. I think that you should, you have this strength. You have better bowling than Australia, man. I mean, when in your history has India had better fast bowling resources than Australia have? Which they do. I mean, which
But they went there
especially
and
in these
won, no?
conditions.
They won there and won twice now. Huh? What more you want?
No,
No,
he
but
wants
I
them to do in India.
I
He wants
want
it to
in
make harder.
India.
You have Ashwin and Jadeja, but win without them. That's what Sibi is saying.
No, even okay. They are great enough to, even if you prepare pitches that are not like this, they are great enough to figure out how to get wickets on them. Okay, it's not like they'll suddenly become neutralized, but you're neutralizing the fast bowlers, and you have Umesh. Umesh just arrived, and I loved how he arrived and just blew them away in like a short span of time. Like how does he pitch the ball like that, man? I mean, this is like some, these bet matches that we used to play when we were in playing gully cricket. This guy, Umesh Yadav, is like a bet match cricketer, man. Like he will just come and he just completely blow over the opposition, win you the money, and that's it, go off. I mean, that's the kind of guy
He'll
he
just
is.
bowl 3 overs and leave.
That's it. It's finished. He's the greatest bet match bowler of all time. There's something with Umesh and the SG ball, man. I mean, the home conditions, it is one thing about the conditions, but I think the ball also is like something he's just mastered over the years. And there's his accuracy, his use of swing, the way in which he figures out when to bowl, what length. This is a remarkable bowler in Indian conditions, and hope he could have bowled more. But what to do? These Rohit Sharma kind of captains are not giving him any chance.
First of all, that is Rohit Sharma's huge problem, dude. I think he should drop a pacer. I think mostly Siraj, and give more overs to Aksar. But I don't think he's managing 3 spinners well. Smith managed it far more better than this guy. He I think over-indexed on Jadeja and Ashwin. Sure, they are Jadeja and Ashwin, but Aksar should be given more overs, man.
If you don't over-index on Jadeja and Ashwin, I don't
done
know
better,
who.
man. They won 2 out of 3. They won 2 out of 3.
They should win 4 out of 4, man. What is your problem? This is India.
They should win 4 out of 3.
By the way, one thing about Spotify, whoever listens to us on Spotify can actually leave comments or questions within the app itself. So, try it out if you want, if you have anything to say or if you have anything to ask. There is a question, KD, specifically for you from this listener called Roger Sahab, who says, hello, KD tweeted on Twitter that this is the best Australian team to tour India. My question is, why isn't the 2004 Aussie team better? They obviously had a better bowling attack than the Indian side. So, KD, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, but this Indian side has a much better bowling attack than that Indian side.
No, the 2004.
He's not asking why it is evenly matched. He's saying this Australian team you said is better than that Australian team. That is the key question.
I think so. I mean,
because you're saying this Australian team is playing a far superior Indian team, right?
Yeah.
I'm presuming. Yeah.
Yeah. Far more complete Indian team.
And if you have to look man-to-man bowling attack, I mean, you had McGrath, Gillespie, Kasparov, and Vaughan in that team. And in this team,
that team didn't have any finger spinner. No, their best finger spinner was Nathan Horrocks. And really, I mean, to do well in India, you need a top finger spinner. I mean, it's not a coincidence, that Mallet, Underwood, Gibbs, Bracewell, Iqbal Qasim, Saqlain Mushtaq, who else?
Sean
Asif,
Nathan Lyon, Monty Panesar,
Nicky Boye,
Graham Swan.
Yeah.
They've all done well in India, whereas Shane Warne didn't, and actually Muralidharan didn't either, because they just the leg spinners just don't bowl fast enough. And if you don't bowl quick, then you give the batsman too much time to line you up. And the Indian batsmen have been lining up spinners for centuries. They are very good at it.
It's not just fast enough. I think it's also they don't bowl straight enough because that is not their craft. Yeah. So finger spin, both Murali and Vaughan were great bowlers for their angles, and I think that works against them in India.
I mean, that also worked against Harbhajan Singh in India. You know, I mean, he also didn't bowl wicket to wicket all the time. You know, he for a long time he didn't also come round the wicket. You know, and he would always fly. He was very much bowling for the back pad all the time, not bowling straight. Whereas, especially in India, you need to attack the stumps all the time. You know, and that's. I mean, I really wish Shane Warne had come to India before he got injured while he still had his flipper. You know, that might have been a different. If he had come in '96, or if Australia had come to India in '95, '96, that would have been
And
been
played 3 tests.
Yeah,
they just played 1. Yeah,
that would have been a more interesting series.
Thank you for joining the podcast. Thank you for listening. It's been great to have our listeners, so many listeners through the series. Usually, India-Australia series brings us the most traffic, especially for our reviews and things, but also for our other podcasts. Thank you for all the generous and kind comments that you have left on our earlier podcasts. The latest one with Ramachandra Guha that we did on the corner of a foreign field, and also the other reviews that we have done on the other podcasts. We also find people listening to podcasts from last year and before that. There are a lot of timeless podcasts there. This is episode 154. So you have a lot to listen to if you're new to listen to us, or if you are somebody who wants to revisit podcasts, please go ahead. 81allout.com is our website. At 81allout is what our handle is on Twitter. If you listen to us on Spotify or Apple or Google or in any of these other platforms, please review the podcast. It's always nice to find for new people to find when you review, when you rate. So it's great. Books that we've republished: War Minus the Shooting by Mike Marquesi, Cricket Beyond the Bazaar by Mike Coward. Hopefully another one very, very soon. Thank you for listening. We'll see you for another podcast in about 10 days' time.
India have won the series. They're going to get back for 2. India at home. Lords goes wide.